Lavar Ball, Lonzo Ball, LaMelo Ball, the big baller brand, Ball, Ball, Ball. The name has absolutely dominated the basketball media for the last year. Ever since Lonzo rose to fame as one of the best point guards to grace the courts of UCLA and was eventually drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers. And whilst controversy has raged around Lavar and the Ball family since they first came onto our screens, I've resisted talking about him. Part of me doesn't want to buy into the hype around him and give him what he wants, which is more screen time and more media saturation. But his latest comments surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers changed this decision for me. But before we get into that, I wanted to cover the history of Lavar Ball and his family, the things I like and the things that I don't like about him. The first thing I want to get out of the way and make very clear is that I think overall, Lavar Ball is a fantastic father. He's given his children every opportunity and helped support and train them in their dreams to become NBA players. Furthermore, from catching brief glimpses of his reality TV show, it seems that the family love and values he possesses are completely genuine. The man cares for his kids a lot, more than can be said about a lot of parents and fathers. Now, whether or not the intense care and influence Lavar has over his children and their lives is a completely separate issue. It is incredibly normal for fathers and parents in general to guide their children on life decisions, especially when they're young. However, attempting to exert that influence over professional basketball organizations is probably not the best strategy to get the best for your sons. But the question is, how did Lavar Ball even get the platform to speak? How is it that Lavar Ball can come out and criticize the Lakers and the NBA, and the mainstream media run it all over the air? The answer is twofold. Genius, long-term marketing from Lavar, and the era of clickbait. Modern journalism and news is changing at an incredibly rapid pace. Before the age of social media and the internet, news was consumed primarily in two ways: the newspaper and the television news broadcasts. Newspapers ran long print articles on players, provided box scores, and only the best sports writers would get into them. The quality of the writing was generally high, and the amount of print space in newspapers to cover the NBA was limited. As a result, the coverage turned to the young, best prospects, current stories in the NBA, and trade and free agency discussions. Now, the majority of written media is online. There is no page limit to websites, and publications can run as many stories they want per day. In fact, they can run as many stories on the Ball family as they want per day. The same goes for the video format of sports journalism. The news traditionally runs for 30 minutes to an hour, and the sports section was a maximum of 5 minutes generally. This gave sports presenters the opportunity to quickly cover the key issues of each sport. Brady's performances in the Super Bowl or Michael Jordan's MVP win would be the stories covered. There would be no time to interview Lavar Ball when you could be running a story on Latrell Sprewell punching his coach instead. Now, YouTube and web players on websites have done the same thing to video that blogs have done to print media. You can upload as much video as you want on as many topics as you want. People can splatter their content all over the web and hope that something sticks, hope that something drives clicks, because in the modern era of journalism, clicks equals ads, and ads equal money. Advertising in old forms of media was very different to what it is now. Companies would partner with large newspapers, magazines, or television shows and run a long-term ad partnership. If you were advertising in a newspaper, you wanted it to have credibility with the audience, so that your ad appeared more credible also. Nowadays, media runs on the total number of ads served. Companies no longer put their ads in just one place. They put them all over the internet. A blanket approach. The result has been that the credibility of your source no longer matters anywhere near as much. And so the only thing that matters is how many clicks and views you get. So instead of running a long-term brand and building credibility and journalistic integrity, many publications and websites are running clickbait articles to simply get the clicks and views. Stories are no longer based on the content, but the title. Therefore, ESPN will run 100 stories a month on LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Kyrie Irving. And now, they are running them on Lavar Ball. This is the second part of Lavar's strategy. He has made himself something that people want to click on. Love him or hate him, the majority of humanity and basketball fans simply can't resist seeing what someone this eccentric has done next. The same principle works for people like Jake and Logan Paul, Donald Trump, and other provocative social media presences. Regardless of how you feel about them, a lot of people want to know what they say and do. And this process is cyclical. The more Lavar acts out and says and does crazy things, the more stories are run, the more people see and know who he is, and the potential audience for a Lavar Ball story grows. Now, this specific part isn't Lavar Ball's fault. In fact, he has simply seen a flaw in the media system and is purposely exploiting it to further his family's gain. Lavar did this by saying things that he knew would be clickbait headlines. And I want to make this clear. I don't think Lavar thought his son was Magic Johnson with a jump shot or that he could beat Michael Jordan in a one-on-one. What he did know and think was that these statements would make great headlines and that people would think, who the hell does Lavar Ball think he is? And who is Lavar Ball? People wanted answers to these questions, and the media obliged them, giving Lavar interviews on ESPN, podcasts, CBS, and in multiple newspapers around the country. Now, Lavar had national credibility. He was a personality, a household name, and all because he said some ridiculous things and his sons were very good at basketball. Now he could say whatever he wanted and the stories would run, because the online publications knew it would drive clicks and make them money. Lavar had his platform, and from this platform he has launched the Big Baller brand, a reality TV show, sent his kids to play basketball in Lithuania, and undoubtedly has made his family and kids a lot of money. But money aside, his kids' dreams are to play basketball, and in the NBA, and his current actions are putting that dream into jeopardy. Recently, Lavar came out and said that if the Lakers did not sign or draft his 3 sons, that Lonzo Ball would leave the Lakers in free agency. This statement is simply absurd. Firstly, Lonzo Ball isn't the level of player that could demand guys on his team yet, let alone demand his 2 brothers to play with him. Secondly, LiAngelo Ball has never been projected to be an NBA player, and while LaMelo has the potential to get there, he is only 16 and has a long way to go. The second part that is incredibly baffling is Lavar's inability to understand the NBA's contract bargaining agreement. Lonzo can't leave the Lakers for at least 4 more years, as the Lakers will have the right to match in restricted free agency after his 4th season. Regardless, any large deal with multiple years that Lonzo potentially gets offered would be snapped up in a heartbeat. In today's NBA, you simply should take the long years and guaranteed money, meaning that Lonzo would be crazy to try and leave the Lakers, and if they want to keep him, he will likely be there for at least 8 years. And Lonzo is a good enough basketball player and prospect to have a spot in the league for a long time. He's a great passer, big point guard who has the potential to be able to defend and shoot well in the NBA. Plus, the Lakers team always looks better with him on the court than off the court, and I fully believe he will develop into a great player and have a long, successful NBA career. But LiAngelo and LaMelo Ball don't have the same security. LiAngelo will likely end up playing overseas if he wants to play professional basketball, and LaMelo is projected as a 15 to 30 range in his NBA draft class. But when you are in that range, things can change very quickly. There is a lot of time for players to jump him, and for teams to decide that they don't like LaMelo or don't want to be involved with the Big Baller brand. And this is where Lavar Ball might hurt his sons. For a player of Lonzo's caliber, it is worth the media hype and circus that comes with Lavar Ball. Plus, the brand image of the Lakers is so strong that it can survive the strange press coverage that having Lavar's son brings you. But will small market teams be willing to welcome the circus for a player like LiAngelo or LaMelo? I'd say for LiAngelo there is almost no chance. He is already on the outer of the draft, and Lavar's media possibility will be the nail in the coffin of his NBA career. But LaMelo has some serious potential as a player. He is an absolutely lethal 3-point shooter, is very fast for his size and age, and could develop into a solid passer. If he can actually begin to play any defense, he could be an interesting off-the-bench scorer for a lot of NBA teams, providing that he fills out in size and continues the general trend of his skills development. But imagine you're the Milwaukee Bucks, and you're picking around 22 in the draft that includes LaMelo Ball. He hasn't been taken yet, and he is up there at the top of your draft board with a few other prospects that you like in this range. Who do you take? LaMelo and the media circus and the dad who threatens to have his son leave to another team, or the player with a similar amount of upside, who gets to work on his game and doesn't create national headlines every time his father opens his mouth? If I was them, I wouldn't take LaMelo. And then this dilemma would continue for the 23rd pick, the 24th, the 25th. Eventually, he might get picked, but at the same time, he might not be picked at all. There are hundreds of players who compete for the last few spots on each NBA team, and LaMelo has the chance to eventually become one of them, or even higher. But his father's actions could cost him his NBA dream. If I was Lavar, I'd continue to make outlandish statements about your son's talents, hype them up, show them love. This stuff is all harmless. but threatening the organisation that your son plays for and demanding they draft all of your sons is ludicrous and downright delusional. So tone it down when it comes to the Pro Leagues, Lavar. You don't want to become a joke or be portrayed in an overall negative light by the media. This is completely different from the coverage that you get now. Over the last year, it has been look at this jokester, this comedian, this father of three who is seemingly larger than life. You don't want to get the image of a delusional man who thought he could control one of the biggest NBA teams and sport franchises in the entire world. As Lavar himself would say, stay in your lane. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, be sure to like and subscribe for NBA videos every Thursday and Sunday. And let me know in the comments below of what you think of Lavar Ball and his comments.